Today's prompt is called Salvaged Birds. This is part of the Defember challenge that I'll be doing all month long. I decided to use this dark navy blue long strip of cardstock to create sort of a unfolding envelope of sorts. So the first thing I'm doing is inking the inside edges because this will be where the journaling itself will be done. I love making these. I actually love sewing them all the way together into a little envelope pocket, but I decided to leave this as an unfoldable one this time. I decide after I put it together to round the edges of the top, and then I'll have to go back and ink those as well. So the little bag that Johnna sent me the scraps inside of had this piece of Japanese newspaper inside, and if you'll see on the desktop there is a little scrap of paper with two birds. That was actually how she decorated the bag, and she sealed the bag with that blue washi tape. So I'm going to try to salvage these birds that were on her wrapping and create an ephemera piece out of them. That's the way I am interpreting this prompt. I decided to tear around them. I like that look when I'm doing collage. She stamped a few dates on the bottom too, and I'm not able to keep all of those, so I end up cutting it a little bit shorter and saving the bottom stamped item in my scrap pile to use later. I like using glue stick to put images down on paper when they're on paper that is really thin, like newsprint, or this is sort of a glassine bag material. I also do this with tissue paper and really thin typing paper. Normally I don't use glue stick for thicker papers. It just tends to lift up a little bit easier over time. This was a used piece of washi, so it had already lost some of its adhesive, so I decided to add some of my Tombow glue to help it stay down. I'm looking for something else to put with it, just another bird themed item if possible, if there's something else in this pile. And look, there are some kingfishers from a book that she has taken out. I hope all of you are doing well. What is the weather like where you are? Here it's clear, which is great because we had a weekend full of rain, but it's very cold, and I don't really like cold. So being inside and doing crafting is what brings me joy in the wintertime. I love looking at birds. I love feeding birds, especially in the winter. I don't know that I've ever seen a kingfisher where I live. I think they're pretty awesome though. I like the way their little mohawk is on top of their head, but we don't have them here as far as I know. I decided to round the inside corners too, for no other reason that I think it just looks nicer. Now I'm on the search for brads. I found my box of brads. I had to sort of dig them out of a drawer. I don't use them very often, but I do have them nicely organized thanks to my daughter. She and I did that a couple of years ago. I found a little piece of paper that sort of has the same blue geometric elements to it, and I'm going to create a little tab, circle tab, to wrap some twine around. The way I like to do that is to use double layer cardstock that's glued together. I also like using chipboard, but that involves finding a decorative piece of paper to put on top of the chipboard, which is fine. But for this project, I decided just to cut the same circle out of the same cardstock and glue them together. I don't do this type of closure that often, so I probably bet there is a better way to do this. As you can see, I have a sewing needle in front of me. I think it's an embroidery needle. But as I started working with it, I realized I really just needed to stop my project and go find my awl, which is what I use for bookbinding. And you'll see me struggle with the needle in a minute. And then luckily my husband swooped in, walked through as I was doing this, and he walked right by where I keep my awl, so I asked him to hand it to me. Ideally, you need to let the glue dry before you do this part, just because the cardstock is a lot more pliable when it has wet glue underneath it. But for the sake of video, I decided to go ahead and work with it while I had it in front of me. Here's where I realized that I need something larger than a sewing needle. For junk journaling or any craft, the right tools do make all the difference, don't they? The reason why I was so resistant to getting the awl is because, honestly, I injure myself quite easily. And so I was trying to avoid using the awl if possible, but I decided, yep, my husband handed me the awl at that moment, and I was able to put the brad through. Let's put that safety cap back on right away. I thought I remembered having some off-white thread in here, and I ended up not finding it. I'm not sure what I did with it. I had some tatting thread that I thought would be perfect, but I did find a very narrow piece of twine, so I'm going to use that. Or maybe it's jute. I think it is jute, not twine. I get those two words interchanged all the time. Normally I would do a knot to secure it, but I decided in this case, since the jute was so substantial, I thought that maybe just tying it once would hold it. We'll see how that works long term. But I also didn't want to bulk up behind that circle tab too much, so I just did one single. Wasn't as excited about this project as I was the one yesterday. Not that I don't like birds, I do. I just didn't like the way my idea came to fruition. We're going to have wins and losses with everything, right? And a lot of this exercise will just be me getting better at making ephemera and trying new things. I don't have to use this piece, but it was fun for the collaboration to try something a little outside of my comfort zone. So here I am opening the book that Johnna made for me for storing my ephemera. You can see the tag from yesterday, and I have put the little envelope pocket in the other page. Thanks for joining me today, guys.